Win big with new DRF All Access past performances. With one best-in-class product, you now get all 3 past performance formats. Go to DRF.com and use coupon code ONEFREEPP for a free single card today.
It's a big Saturday of racing up at Woodbine. There are 6 graded stakes races on the card. One of those graded stakes races is the EP Taylor, the grade 1 that's going to go as race number 7 on Saturday at Woodbine. Gino Buccola alongside David Aragona. Let's take a look at the field for the EP Taylor. Not a big field, David, but some quality. We have last year's winner in Rover. We have a really popular horse up at Woodbine in Moira, horse who won the Queen's Plate a couple years back. And then Cinderella's Dream to the outside has been really good for Appleby. Godolphin. Buick comes back over to ride 6 for 7 overall. So some quality in this field.
Yeah, I mean, this is a grade 1 that really is a true grade 1 when you look through the field. Rover, Blue, Rose Sen, and Cinderella's Dream have already won at that highest grade 1 level. Interestingly, Moira is one who is still in search of her first grade 1 victory, but she has certainly run well against top-level competition in the past and is a deserving favorite in this race.
Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector here. They have the number 4 Full Count Felicia out front. She's going to try to wave bye Felicia to the rest of this field in here, David. Probably Rover, that would be closest to her, maybe putting a little pressure on Full Count Felicia. And in a small field like this, a lot of time, the pace shape is very, very important.
And I think it's interesting that Full Count Felicia is running here as a Kevin Attard trainee when he is also the trainer of Moira, who has in the past been wired by Rover, and doesn't seem like Rover is going to have a free ride on the front end in here with Full Count Felicia in the race. I will note only 4 chicklets shown on this pace projector. That is because we do not have pace data for the 2 European shippers, Blush and Blue Rose Sen.
Let's take a look at the field, and we'll go horse by horse in here for the EP Taylor. We start out with Blush, who is a Group 3 winner from France, has won 3 straight. Didn't have the sharpest of beginnings last time out, David. Settled about 6th of 8. It was about 5 lengths off. I thought closed pretty well in between horses that day from the outside. Fine. I just think she will need to step up in order to get competitive with some of these in here. How do you think she will fare against this group?
I'm not thrilled with the competition that she's been facing, and I think this is a significant step up in class for her, but I do like what I've seen from her visually in her last couple of starts, the way that she was able to put that field away 2 back over soft turf in France, and then last time out, beating a slightly tougher field in that Group 3 event. She really had to fight for that victory, but I like the way that she kept finding more when she was really set down to pressure, and it did seem clear that she was pulling away from that group at the very end, even though she only won by a head that day. She feels like a progressive sort that is shipping over here with the connections, probably thinking that she's moving into sitting on top of one of her better efforts. I don't know if that's going to be good enough to win. And if this field didn't come up quite as tough as it did, I would have been more interested in her. But I'm not going to be surprised when she gets a piece of this.
Moira, the number 2, is the morning line favorite in here. She's just been really, really cool when you look at her overall body of work. This was the Queen's Plate winner a few years back when she beat the boys. She's a multiple graded stakes winner. She'll try to get her grade 1 here, but she's a horse who looks like is primed to run a big race in here. It just feels like they set her up to have this race and possibly the Breeders' Cup as the races they want her to run her best races, because she was a very good third in the Filly and Mare Turf last year, only beaten a length and a quarter. That was a career best effort from her. So you look at her, David, I feel like when I compare her maybe with Cinderella's Dream to the outside, she might be more tactical, maybe a little bit more versatile than her. And that could really come in key in a small field like this. I'm expecting her to run a really big race in here, third start off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I think she showed her true quality in that Breeders' Cup last year when she was only a length and a quarter behind Inspiral and Warm Heart, who are 2 of the best fillies and mares in Europe. And Moira, since then, she's run well in both starts since coming back as a 5-year-old. The Diana, I mean, that was a really strong field where the pace did her no favors, and she was closing best of all at the end, arguably ran the best race in defeat that day. And while the margin was only ahead last time in the Beverly D over Rover, I thought she was clearly superior that day, closing in a race that Rover just got to control on the front end. There isn't any rain in the forecast this week, which I think is good news because Moira definitely seems like a horse that wants that firm, hard going to be at her best.
The horse that she beat last time out, Nisi Marie, was a horse that you and I liked that came back and was really impressive, winning at Kentucky Downs. Looked like a winner all the way around the track that day. So Moira looks like the one to beat in here. Last year's winner, Fev Rover, is a multiple grade one winner. You were kind of hitting at this point, though, when we looked at the pace projector. I feel like with her, she has some versatility. She can pass horses, but her advantage seems to be when she's able to dictate the pace, when she's able to be out front and slowing things down. And I'm just not sure if she's going to be able to use that advantage in here with a horse like Full Count Felicia.
Yeah, I think Feb Rover has two significant weapons in her arsenal. One of those is her versatility of running style. When there's no pace, she's able to get to the front end, slow it down, and then sprint home. So to have that running style at your disposal, I think it makes her tough in races that don't feature a lot of pace. The other weapon that she has is she handles any kind of turf condition. And she's caught a couple races, especially where she's faced Moira, particularly last year in the Nassau, as well as in the Canadian, where she defeated her on each of those occasions. And Fev Rover was getting turf courses with some given them on both of those days. And I think it really worked in her advantage. I should correct myself. It was the EP Taylor where she beat Moira at the end of last year. Supposed to be a firm ground. And I think when both of these fillies are on a fair, firm course, Moira is just slightly superior.
Yeah, I would agree on that. As we move to the pace player in this race, Full Count Felicia is a multiple graded stakes winner. Will go third start of the form cycle. She does look like the one to catch, but she's never been beyond 1 mile and an eighth. So she'll be out front, probably take him as far as she can go. And as you were pointing out, not only is it best for her trying to win this race to get out front, it also helps her stablemate, Moira, just keep things honest and make sure that Fev Rover or nobody else gets out front and slows things down.
Yeah, I wonder how the extra furlong is going to work for her. I think it's something to talk about specifically at Woodbine, where the mile and an eighth is a one-turn race. The mile and a quarter, they've got to deal with that uphill section. So it really is a more significant stretch out than just handling one extra furlong when you go from the 9 furlongs to the 10 furlongs at Woodbine. And she probably is quicker than Fev Rover in the early stages, so she might be able to control up front. But this is a much tougher field than she defeated in the Canadian last time. So she's got some things to prove from a class standpoint.
And we see her finishing up that effort up at Woodbine last time out. So she knows the course. Let's see if she can take another step forward here against these tougher foes. Blue Rose Sen is next up. This is a multiple Group 1 winner who has been facing top company. You see Marquise de Sauvigny in the running lines a few times. David, I'm sure I butchered that for some of the folks out there, but a horse who is a 5-time Group 1 winner and really sharp right now. American Sonia was a runner-up in the Prix de Romanée last time out. That was a horse who actually came over and ran in the New York. Didn't run all that well that day, finishing 8th, but Blue Rose Sen, has been facing top-notch company. Hasn't quite been at her best this year up until that last effort, and it was 4th, but it was also in a field of 5. She was kind of a non-threatening 4th and really couldn't go on with the top few. So I kind of have some mixed feelings on her. I was going back and forth. What are your thoughts on Blue Rose Sen in here?
Yeah, when you see her facing that 5-time Group 1 winner, Marquise de Sévigné, you are impressed that she was able to get within 3/4 of a length of her last time. It does sort of feel like that division of French older fillies and mares is not as strong as we've seen it in some prior years. And Blue Rose Sen is one that you would have expected to lead that division based on what she did as a 3-year-old last year. And she just really hasn't taken a step forward and arguably has taken a significant step backwards since she was a multiple Group 1 winner during her 3-year-old season. I will note this ownership transferred all of their horses away from Christopher Head, who had her during her 3-year-old season, to the trainer that now is managing her. And another runner that was under their care, Big Rock, who was one of the top milers in Europe last year, a Group 1 winner, has just been a shadow of his former self.
Similar form, right? Just
very
like this
similar. One. And Blue Rose Sen, it seems like her form has kind of gone the wrong way. And it does seem like maybe she took a step in the right direction last time. But when I went to watch that replay,
yep.
I mean, she had second locked up until the final 16th, and she just kind of gave it up at the very end. It just feels like something's missing with her since she turned 4 and since she's gone into the new barn. So I was not as high on her as I thought I'd be when I went to handicap this race.
Completely agree. I agree. I feel like I thought I was going to like her more. She was getting a perfect trip and just really didn't go on with the top couple there. Let's round out the field with Cinderella's Dream. Multiple group stakes winner, grade 1 winner, first time Lasix. She'll make the third start of the form cycle here. Just a really strong late turn of foot for this horse, David. I think we have a replay, but she will be facing older and some tough foes in here. We saw her run down a Loose on the lead, Suggesta 2 starts back, and then we see her here running down a horse who's going to come back and win the Dueling Ground Oaks next time out. So she beat a sharp rival, but this is older and tougher foes than she's been facing, at least in her last couple.
It is a tougher spot, but I mean, she's faced some pretty good fields. The Belmont Oaks, where she was able to defeat She Feels Pretty, who was considered one of the best 3-year-old fillies out there earlier this season. And last time, Kathy and Marissa, I mean, she was really impressive when she came back to win that race at Kentucky Downs earlier this week. So I think the form lines are pretty strong for Cinderella's Dream. And I initially viewed her as a horse that maybe would be a stretch to get a mile and a quarter when she first came to this country. But she clearly has been able to relax in her races over here and produce that sprint finish. So we'll see if she's able to do it over a more demanding course like Woodbine. One thing we know about Charlie Appleby as we take a look at a DRF formulator fact is that he has had a lot of success at Woodbine over the years.
That does the job there. 80% with a 274 ROI. So you just blindly bet those horses. You're going to be turning a nice profit there. So yeah, I don't really have many knocks on her, David. She just has a really nice turn of foot.
Yeah, I mean, she's not going to be much price. I think the other thing to note in that trainer stat is the ROI is only $2.74
8 wins
with an 80% win rate, which says that on average he's winning with horses that are, about less than even money. So, I mean, she's going to be a short price. She's going to be a bigger price than even money, but does the 80% really apply to her? I think is a better question. Obviously a top contender in this race.
Let's take a look at the selections, David. Just a small field in here. How are you going to navigate this one?
I didn't have a particularly clever take with regard to finding a long shot in here. I considered flipping my top 2 because I have been impressed with Cinderella's Dream and her 2 starts in the U.S. Moira has just proven herself against the best horses in this division. And when I looked at the forecast and saw that it's likely to be firm going at Woodbine on Saturday, it feels like she's going to be able to run her A race. And I think her best effort is just a cut above the rest.
Yeah, I just feel like she's also going to be able to get kind of a little jump on Cinderella's Dream too. From a tactical standpoint, Cinderella's Dream has been more of a wait, push the button late type horse, whereas Moira has been able to adapt to some different trips. So I could see her just getting a couple length jump on Cinderella's Dream, and that maybe being the difference in here. I agreed with you in that I couldn't really get all that creative trying to find value in this one. So both David and myself will land on Moira. 2631 for David, 2653 for me in the grade 1 EP Taylor on Saturday at Woodbine.